Okay, I'm going to open my closet door because I know my VHS tapes and stuff is got to be in here somewhere. All right, let's see now. VHS tapes I don't use anymore, so there it is. There it is back there. Well, can you believe it's finally happening? A lot of fans out there are absolutely ecstatic, as I am. Well, yesterday, over 24 hours ago, I'm a little late to the game on this, but it was a perfect day for it. Yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the Beatles' last public appearance. They did a little concert atop the Apple building, and it's been announced on that day that Let It Be is finally going to be coming out. That's right, remastered, redone, and there's even more news that's even 10 times more exciting than that as I go on that you probably already know about. But I was digging in the closet at the beginning of this to show you this, which was a videotape that I got in 1981. And I got this videotape for Let It Be before I even had a VCR, but I knew I was eventually going to get one and I wanted to have the tape. You know, back in those days, I was just 19 years old, and I was working, living at home. And back at the day, there was a place called Video Shack where it was in a mall, and they used to rent these out. You know, you could go there, and if you left a $50 or $60 deposit, you actually were able to take one of these tapes home. You could rent it, and you'd watch it, and then you bring it back. When you brought the tape back, you got your deposit back. But you were also given the opportunity, if you wanted to buy these things, you could actually own a tape. Imagine it. I never heard of such a thing. It was a new phenomenon to us. It was exciting. So you could also buy them used, if not new. So I picked this tape up. I think it was $50 or $60 at the time, and I didn't even have a VCR. And I was happy to own it. This sat in my drawer for a long time until I was able to save up the money in February of 1982 to get my first VCR. I remember it was a Sylvania. It was a top load. It would pop up, you put the tape in and put the top down. And it was the whopping price of $749, my first VCR. And if you think that that's a lot now, imagine it for 1982, early 82. But the thing was, I was just thrilled, as many of us were, just to have this new novelty that you could actually own a movie. It was unheard of, you know? And at the time, in my bedroom, I had a little 13-inch television set. And I'd put this tape on, sit up in the bed like this, relax, and I'd watch Let It Be on a little 13-inch set. And I was in heaven. Now, I did not own a disc player. Laserdisc, I think, had a version of Let It Be, which I'd never had a Laserdisc player, but also these discs here, video discs, which was a format that never took off. I didn't have one of these either, but I did manage to pick this up a couple of years ago at a flea market. And I think for these players, they used to have little needles, actually, just like turntables do. And you'd plug it in like this, and I think the disc would come out, or plug it in like this, one way or the other, and the disc would come out, and you'd play it like a record and watch the movie. But you have no need for this and this anymore, because we're going to be getting the actual release. So, although I'm always going to be keeping these because they're nostalgic, especially this one, because this VCR tape, VHS, I should say, is the first movie of any kind, first item of any kind that I ever owned. Since then, of course, I had hundreds or 1,000 or more VHS tapes. Now I've got hundreds of DVDs or Blu-rays. But back then, this was the first movie of any kind, first single item of all, before I even had a player, that I owned. But let's get to the news, okay? The Beatles people have announced that Peter Jackson, known for Lord of the Rings and known for, in my opinion, a terrible reboot of King Kong, Peter Jackson is going to be going through 55 or more hours of a rare video of the Beatles, stuff that has never been before seen. But although a lot of people like myself have a big collection back there of bootlegs and things, so some of it's going to be new to us and some of it may not be new. But either way, what's interesting is the footage that exists, most of it is black and white footage now and not the best quality. And a lot of it, just for some reason, the camera sits on John and Yoko mostly and not the others. I think there's going to be some stuff in the vaults that's going to come out that we're going to be very surprised with, even if we're diehards that have a lot of it. So this is going to be exciting. He's going to put together a new movie on Let It Be. You know, you might have heard a while back, and if you watch on my channel and go back a few months now, I made a video on it. Paul McCartney, in an interview, had kind of leaked out a little. He was saying, you know, we might be making a more joyful version of Let It Be down the line. He kind of threw it out there as a possibility. It looks like that was kind of a preview to this news, because that is what's going to happen. At the time, a lot of fans, including myself, were very, very skeptical, because we said, look, we got nothing against coming out with a new version of Let It Be with new footage and having a good time and making it a more positive, joyful experience. But I know for myself, I was kind of worried because I don't want them to whitewash the Beatles too much. I feel that ever since the Love project that came out, they've been trying to make it like the Beatles are all about all you need is love and la 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 and yeah 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 and oh blah dee oh blah da, and there are no rough edges, there's no hard corners to the Beatles. I wanted to be able to get some of that rough edge stuff back again. And the truth of the matter is that during the Let It Be time, and they all said so, it was a tense time. They were breaking up, and the original film of Let It Be showed that. So I think I speak for a lot of people when I said that I didn't mind them putting out a new version, and it's thrilling and it's exciting, and I hope it's theatrical. I hope it gets a bigger release than even Ron Howard's 8 Days a Week. That got played in little theaters here and there, but I want this to be a wide theatrical release, hopefully. But the stipulation was, I'm hoping that they were going to put out the original Let It Be movie. I didn't want them just to put out this new upbeat version of the footage from the Get Back sessions, as it were, without realizing that they were having some drama. So I think the Beatles camp made a wise decision to put out both. And that's the best part of this news, that not only are we going to get a full-blown, brand-new feature film with footage we've never seen before, it's going to put a whole new take on the Let It Be era, but we are indeed going to get the original movie, Michael Lindsay Hogg's copy from 1970, that shows you a little bit of the drama, a little bit of the rough stuff. So it's not just going to be all rewriting of history, and that's really great. So I don't know any fan that would have anything to complain about, because you got the best of both worlds for both sides to be happy about. What are your thoughts, folks? This is a time to rejoice. Bring it on. I can't wait. You know, folks, Peter Jackson managed to turn his remake of King Kong from a story about a fierce, scary monster menacing a damsel in distress into a lovable story about a girl and her pet monkey. He also managed to have King Kong ice skating at Rockefeller Center, like the Ice Capades with Kong on Ice. No telling what he could do about the rough footage for Let It Be.